конференцию. Значит, я представляю общественную организацию «риски», которая является соорганизатором данного мероприятия. Хотел бы поблагодарить за гостеприимство информационного агентства Лига Бизнес-Инфо в этом уютном зале. Я думаю, мы плодотворно поработаем. Хотел бы представить вам моих коллег, организаторов данного мероприятия, господина Торстена Гедемайера, представляющего компанию «Воентраст», и Татьяну Гробовскую, директор по развитию бизнеса компании ITCC. Собственно говоря, повестка дня, которую мы сегодня над которой будем работать, полностью находится в их руках, поэтому я с удовольствием передаю слово Торстену.
Should we start? It's better now? This is better, because I would like to run around. So I try to start with some housekeeping, give you some introduction how I would love to do this presentation, as interactive as possible. I don't want to run through all the products in very detail because it would be a little bit boring, but I will concentrate on some recent attacks and how you could stop them. Before I start, have everyone seen me before running a presentation? I have to explain it. So we play bingo. Who has ever played bingo? I need one number, please, between 0 and 10. A number between 0 and 10. Can you give me one? 1, 2, 3, 6. Which one? 6. 6 is always. Okay. 6 here. Can you see it? Because that's kind of important. And I have chosen one, which is 12. Okay. Whenever you hear these numbers, either 6 or 12, just raise up your hand, call bingo, as soon as you can, and then I will throw some giveaways. Yeah, that's more or less to get your attention. If you sleep, you can't play bingo. We give the, what is this? These nice fancy caps away. We give these 2s away with the bingo. The rest is for the lottery. Okay. So that's housekeeping. But it still did not start. So if you hear 6 or 12, bingo. I knew it. It didn't start. So as soon as we start 6 and 12, bingo, and I will tell you what's the first present. Okay. So the first one will be a lovely cup. Okay. Okay. So can I start with a funny presentation? The topic itself is not very funny, but let's try to take it with a little bit of humor, then it's a little bit easier. Okay, just the opening question. Who has heard about the Carbonite attack and the Sunny Breach? Just raise your hand. Do a little exercise, like raise your heads. Carbonite, yes. Sunny Breach. Okay. So I'm not a technical fully expert. What I will show you today and tell you today is what we know about these breaches. We did not detect them. Carbonite was who found out the Carbonet attack, who was the first that found out the attacker. Kaspersky. If you need some additional information away from the presentation, you go to Kaspersky website. They are antivirus experts and they know a lot of these breaches. We can tell you how it happened and how you could stop it. I think that's far enough. Before I start with the entire topic, I think the situation that we focus today in Ukraine, in Germany, in the US is based on the same problems with IT organizations. They all have too much money, they have too much time, and they have too many people. Oh, let's say it in focus. They don't have enough budget, they don't have enough time, and they never have enough people to focus on all the work that should be done. So if you take these problems and combine it with security breaches, that's a bad combination. You know you should do something, but either you don't have the time, you don't have the money, or you don't have the people to close these vulnerabilities. And this is a very, very bad combination, because typically IT organizations or the security is asking for more money, and they can't prove why they need it. And if it happens, it's too late, and IT, it's the problem of the IT then. So that's not only in Ukraine, it's all over the world, and especially it's in Germany. We are very, very tight on security spendings. You maybe think that we spend a lot of money in security, but IT organizations in Germany typically are very, very conservative. They don't spend a lot. They spend something, but they know they have issues. So there's not a difference between countries in terms of security problems. That's the reason why we can have this presentation in the US, in Ukraine, in Japan, in Germany. It's kind of always the same. So let me start with the short about the Sony breach. I will focus more on the Carbonet breach. The Sony breach was a little bit different because there were no direct money stolen or transferred, or they asked for money, but Sony didn't pay it. So the Sony breach, who knows how many data was stolen? Do you have any idea of how many data was downloaded from the hackers? Any guess how many megabyte, terabyte was stolen? Any guess?
What was stolen? 100.
Yeah. So the security community, we estimate like 100 terabytes of data were stolen from Sony. 100 terabytes of data, I can't store them in my office because I don't have enough hard disk space to store 100 terabytes. They have just downloaded everything. Movies, contracts, emails, everything. And they didn't sell it. So it's like, why did they do it? It's more or less a sign against Sony. It was not really, they didn't want to make money. They sent an email, so that they entered Sony typically by a spear phishing email, and then they targeted the one PC. From this one, they were very, very lucky, because on this PC, a local domain administrator logged in weeks before. The credentials were stored on the desktop, and the attacker found a way to get the domain password. That was very, very lucky for him. So if you are in Sony and you have local domain admin rights, you can do whatever you want, and this is what he's done. He just copied everything, downloaded everything. He sent an email to the Sony management team, kind of the 21st of November 2014, and said, I ask for money, because if not, I'm gonna send data from Sony into the internet. 90% of these people from the management, the email run into the spam folder. The other 10% thought it was a joke. So the 24th of November, they started to destroy the first PCs, just for fun, and started to post emails and movies into the internet. There were some rumors that North Korea is the reason for that. It's not proved, and it's like a little bit questionable that they do it, but let's say it, we don't know who did it. It's just the first time that you, as in Germany, if you enter an organization and you try to steal data, you typically steal customer data. You try to sell it, you steal credit card data, you try to sell it. You don't steal movies from a file server because you typically you can't sell them. But for Sony, it was the first time that they just downloaded everything. Everything that they could get, they just downloaded it for further purpose, whatever they would like to do with that. I think that the biggest impact was on the Sony brand name, because it's, if you can hack Sony, it's just a bad sign. You lost, or you lose a lot of reputation. Is the speed okay? Yeah, just. So, the Sony breach, for us as security vendors, is nice to look at it. Didn't happen a lot. No big impact on the financial side. But the cover was a little bit different. I think it's still running, so the cover breach or the malware itself is not stopped. It's still running around. We have a lot of contacts around the world where Carbonac is active, where they kind of ask for professional service to help. It's either antivirus vendors, it's us. A lot of people can help with stopping the breach, mainly because the security teams are not big enough to stop it on their own. And you need to have a little bit of experience to stop it. So the Carbonac breach is the more difficult attack, as it had a big impact on the financial side. So the number of money that was stolen, do you have a number in mind? How many? 1 billion. 1 billion? The first time I give you a tip, I thought it was 6 billion. Oh, that's easy. I'm not a rapper. Thanks. He was waiting for it. Size. Come. It gives me the opportunity to run a little bit around, because sitting for 3 hours, you can see not too bad. Okay, so another cup. So as soon as these, you should pay a little bit of attention. Now it's just cups. Okay. So let's talk about Carbonac. Okay. What I'm telling today is like a disclaimer. The topic is a little bit difficult, so we need a disclaimer in front. I hope that the interpreters just translate it. That's for my security. I don't have to read it in English. That just tells them that what we tell you is what we know. If there's anything more, maybe. But it's enough to run the entire event. Okay. So we start a little bit for the first 30 minutes. I do a short recap of Carbonac, what happened, and I will then match some of our product very, very shortly, like 15 minutes each. How could we stop? How could we help customers? And then you have time for some questions, always within each session. We do a lot of breaks, because if you look to more than 10 slides, I think you need a little bit of coffee. It's just the topic is very big. So what we know that the attack started in 2013. That's 2 years ago. So the former malware were always you attack, the malware is executed, something will happen, you know it, you close it, and it's done. That was the former attack. You try to download something, it becomes visible, you can close the hole, everything is good. This attack was a little bit different because it just did nothing. It just looked around and tried to find out what's going on within the institution, what's the behavior, where can I get more access, all that stuff. So that's the most dangerous thing if a malware hits your organization and it's doing nothing. It's just waiting and collecting data and organizing and send you back, and you get more and more visibility about the target that you would like to attack later on. And this is overall, I think, a common attack scenario. It's like send something out and try to find out as many about your enemy as possible. And I'm pretty sure that this becomes public, everybody knows about it. I'm pretty sure that a lot of other things are going around and we don't know about it. It will not even hit the economy or public companies or banks. I think it's more or less spreading around, doing something, and we don't know about it. This is my personal feeling about it. So the attack itself is very simple. Every attack is kind of simple. You can download it, you can click it on the internet, you can pay with credit cards, you go to a website, you click your attack, you pay the attack with a credit card, you download it, you spread it around, you have a malware created on your own. You even get support on it, which is a little bit scary for me, that you can click your own malware, send it to me, get access to my PC, click my data, and my antivirus engine doesn't know about it because it's brand new. That's the problem. So Carmack also used known vulnerabilities. It was nothing special. It was a vulnerability that was known. The next step typically, and Carmack did the same, it used higher privileges to execute, which is always needed for malware. They can't run with user privileges. They need higher privileges to execute. That's the most important scenario and the most important thing that you should remember on malware. Typically, all malwares need higher privileges than users to do bigger damage. Yeah, it spread it around the company. It also attacked cameras, all that stuff. So that the attackers had access to environmental systems, not only PCs. They had access to a lot, kind of all the company data, all the company servers, all surveillance cameras. They had access to kind of the entire infrastructure. So they could see which user is coming to the office at what time, what are they doing, how do they process transactions, on which servers are the transactions processed, what credentials are used. They've seen everything over these 2 years. If you have 2 years time to collect data, you can collect a lot of things if you have the right privileges. If you need more and deeper, I think most of you have done it, you can have a bigger report on the Kaspersky website about all details. I just do the high level. We can speak in a little bit more detail with the technician that I have with me. Maybe raise your hand. Yeah, he's older than 12, but he looks much older. I think it was him. Yes, right?
Not a problem.
If we have a tie, we take it. I have to do it. Okay, the first one will go out. I have to take down my... Okay, briefly, the recap is something I already told you. I started with the spear phishing. You know what a spear phishing is? What's the difference between a spear phishing and a typical phishing? Who can tell me the difference? Yeah. Yeah. So, a phishing attack is typically a mass email you just send around. And in Germany we get all of them from mainly Postbank, which is a very, very known bank in Germany, written in the most strange German that you can write. If you read the email, you know it can never be from Postbank because it's full of mistakes. Sometimes they even miswrite your name. Everything is wrong. But still, there are a lot of people say, oh, bank. Please give me your bank account and the latest PIN. Yes. And the TAN. Yes. Sure, I do that because it's an email. You have to send it to like 5 million people to find at least 200, I don't know how many, that are a little bit like stressed, so they put in all the data. So it's not a targeting attack, it's like mass mailing. Spear phishing, as the name said, is I would love to attack this company. First thing I find out about names of people that are working there. So the email that was sent looks like it comes from a colleague. And I can't tell you that I will not double click on an email with like, comes from my boss, like open the Excel sheet and look what you have done. It's like, maybe I double click it. If it looks from my boss, why shouldn't I? And this is the spear phishing. It's really targeted with some background information about people working in the organization, and then you double click it and gotcha. So then it used some vulnerabilities, MS Office, Microsoft, whatever is necessary to execute, which is always the same procedure for most of the malware that you see. It uses a vulnerability. Then it do some strange things, which I don't know how to do it. It faked the SV host exe in the system folder. I don't know how to do that, but it's done. Install the dummy service. Okay. Leverage digital signatures, and which is the typical next step is you have to do something that the modern antivirus will not catch you. So you have to hide yourself. And if you have enough privileges, you can hide yourself so that antivirus engines can't detect you with updates. This is kind of stealth mode and hiding around and jumping. Fancy stuff for me. I don't know how they do it, but they are able to do it. The problem is that if you are relying, I am relying on anti-malware, on firewalls, all that stuff, typical security, and if these can't help you, you are done for the next, as long as you can detect it with any additional information, like Kaspersky, they found it out. But you still can't stop it, that's the problem. Okay, just go briefly. The idea was to steal money. Okay, but they were very clever in executing this. So they were not like, okay, there's the money, I take it, because they would have caught. They were very, very careful with all the activities. And if you talk to security analysts, they were like, they're a little bit excited about how they do that. It's these people stole a lot of money. So it's not to be excited, it's just to, okay, they did a good job, and they used our problems to be successful. The transactions and some they just used regular transaction to send around money. They hid it, so you can't, you haven't seen, they didn't send 5 million at once. They just used the money. The what was in the news and for the typical people was the most impressive thing that ATMs just spend money. If you have access to the servers that are controlling all this, you can do whatever you want. You can spend money at 2 a.m. in the morning. And all this together made the Carbonite attack the most successful breach that I think ever happened. For your information, the presentation that I held here, you can have it. So I will run over slides, you will have access to the slides. You can read it later on, because I need to make sure that I stay in time and I can't spell every word that's on the presentation. Okay, deep technique. Now I will run. These are the vulnerabilities that were used to enter or that Carbonite used to make his malware successful. As soon as it has a CVE number, typically it's a non-vulnerability. Most of them, there's a patch available. We don't deploy patches. We don't have the time, we don't have the people, it's too difficult. The software, the servers, the laptops they have to run. So in Germany, I, for example, work very closely with BMW, with Bosch, with Commerzbank, some bigger organizations. You can't just deploy a patch. It's not possible. You need to test it. They have like 100 to 1,000 applications running at the same time. The patch has to guarantee that these business applications are still working if you deploy the patch. Because if not, the problem of the patch is bigger than the impact from that the vulnerability is open. So in total, in Germany, and I can speak from Germany because I have a lot of details about Germany, maybe you can agree, typically, we don't really deploy all patches. They are very selective. You don't touch servers to patch because servers are hosting very important applications. And you have to maintain that server. If you patch, there are like patching days. You have to, sometimes you have to reboot, you can't reboot. For example, I work with BMW on the Unix part. If they would love to reboot their Unix servers, it takes 1 year. It takes 1 year to reboot all Unix servers, because you can't reboot them at the same time. And if it takes a year, you are thinking twice about, is this patch really important or not? And you rely a little bit on vendors telling you it is important. At least you should. Because vulnerability scanning for this stuff is the second problem in that we have in Germany. We scan for vulnerabilities. We get a report like this, and then we take the report, we put it away, and then we do our daily work. Because we can't fix that, because you don't patch. So it's like, that's an ongoing scenario. If you patch regularly, Carbonite did not hit you. Easy. If you don't patch, you open the door. And that's the main problem. There are very, very professional solutions that could help you. Cost a lot of money. You can do it on your own. Cost a lot of people. Cost a lot of time. You don't have people. You don't have budget. That's the problem. That's the problem of modern IT organizations. If they would have a little bit more money, we would have far less breaches that we have today. So you can read all these CVEs. You can download them from Kaspersky. It's just to give you an overview what really happened. Privilege access. Yeah. They installed a new exit. You need to have higher privileges. Everybody knows what higher privileges, what I mean with higher privileges. So there's a user, and higher privileges is either super user or administrator, domain administrator, enterprise administrator, all that stuff. So If you're a user, you have, to be honest, no privileges. Everything that you can do is given to you by an administrator. You can run that laptop as it was designed. You can't install software. You can't do a lot. You can't add network devices. You can't change your IP address. You can't add a printer. At least you can't work. That's the main problem. And I always take the example of BMW because I'm involved in the actual project. They have like 100,000 desktops. And if one desktop has local admin rights, it's a black PC. Everything's green, but if they have local admin rights, they are black for a year. They have like 10,000 black PCs. Means 10% of all PCs had local admin rights within the last 360 days. We should have a fine on raising the hand for the wrong number and give back. I didn't really realize that I'm pushing up numbers. So 10% of all PCs had local admin rights. All these, and I know for sure, BMW has a good patching process because they have a very strict amount of applications. But 10% means all these laptops had more privileges. They could change files, they could do a lot of things that are not good just because an application needs local admin rights. If you're building cars, all people that are running around with the car and doing the testing, they typically need local admin rights because the sensors that are testing the car need local admin rights. So, and they're building cars, so they're like gods within BMW because they make all the money. So if they come back to the organization and they plug in their local admin rights within the network, which is a very, very dangerous combination. But you don't have this only car producers. You have it at Commerzbank. There's some banking applications that need local admin rights. So the next group of people that typically get local admin rights, upper management. Why? Traveling around, I need to add a printer, I need to change my network, I need to do this. If you annoy your IT help desk like a month, they give you local admin rights because then you don't call them anymore. It's like the way to get local admin rights is call help desk every day, like I need, and one day they give you the password. Local admin. That's how we do it. Or you do like me, I have a company laptop that is at home. I can't work with this. It's totally locked. I have my own laptop. The problem is I'm not allowed to connect this laptop to my company. If I would like to connect to my company, I have to use the corporate laptop. But people are always very creative in getting higher privileges. That's how we work. I do the same. I was one of the few local admins from McAfee. Because I was traveling around, I called them every time and said, I'm in a launch, I need a network access. They gave it to me one day. So, if you would like to install a new software, you need to have local admin rights. So that's one point that is very, very important about all the breaches. It was a Sony breach, it's a Carbonite breach, it's whatever breach that happened. Typically, you need administrative rights to run. If you would like to enable terminal services, as a user, you can't enable any service. It's not possible, it's locked. Modifying AV solutions, that's even difficult if you're an administrator. But if you're not an administrator, you can't do anything with an AV service. It's just running. Logging of passwords, that's the next topic. Windows has a nice thing that if a local administrator or a domain administrator is logging to your laptop, a password is stored. Because if you're not connected to the network, you should be able to log in. And in order to log in, the machine should say, okay, that's the right password. So somewhere there are some password information stolen, and very good malware people are able to find these places and unlock it, and then they have it. So if the local domain or enterprise domain password is stored on your laptop, that's a bad combination. And if you then double click on any email, that's another bad combination. So, if you don't rotate passwords, typically you don't do that for very important servers where you have a lot of administrators, or for Unix servers. You know that you should change your root password from time to time. There's a big bank in Germany. I have like 60 administrators only for Unix, 20,000 Unix servers. They didn't change the password for like 6 years. I don't know what was it. I have seen this guy. Wer war's? Okay. Ah, okay. The next time you should shout. Okay, it's good. That's a German guy said, next time you should show. Call bingo. I still think it was him. Better luck next time. Okay. Again, the rules, call bingo very loud so we can hear it. Hands on bingo. Okay. I didn't. That was not. It was a surprise. Passwords. So root passwords. I will not ask you if you regularly change your passwords. I don't want to know if your administrators share the root password, because typically you only have one password for root. So if you have two administrators, they need to share the password. So I don't ask you if you know which administrator logged on and used the password for root, because typically that's Mr. Root and a password. You don't know who is Mr. Root and the password if you have more than one administrator. If you have 60, you fail the audit. And this is what happened. So even big German banks are close to failing compliance regulations, because they didn't focus on Unix. Unix was very good for a long time, because if an auditor is coming to a big bank, said, show me your Unix servers, that's a black screen with white numbers. It's safe, it's Unix, that's it. Now Unix auditors are more experienced, and they ask some more questions. They lost their fear about Unix, and they're asking for a lot of things. So passwords is the second topic. So we have vulnerabilities, we have privileges, and we have passwords, which is kind of logical rule. Prevention. Okay. Any question for the Karlak that we should answer now, or can we wait for the break session and we speak more about the Karlak itself? I think the Karlak happened. Let's speak about how should we stop it, how could we stop it. At least we give you our idea of how we can stop it. You can speak to firewall vendors. They will give you a fancy idea about how they could stop it. You can speak about antivirus companies. They will give you their idea. So it's more or less you have to listen to a lot of group of people to find your way that fits your budget, your time, and is the best for your company. So the first thing you should do, my advice would be you check for your vulnerabilities. There are a lot of vulnerabilities vendors on the market. Run the report. That can be our solution, it can be another solution. Whatever solution you use, check for your vulnerabilities. And don't just put the report away because it's too big, because this is what typically happened. And there's a rule in Germany, we are very PCI compliance. Some of you have to fulfill it. In Germany, there's not a big fee on not being PCI compliance. At least it was for a very long time. So it was cheaper to fail the audit and to pay the fee that we pay then for MasterCard Visa organization. So it was cheaper to do this than to implement a security solution to fulfill the requirements. This is what German. It's easy calculation. If you need a software for 2.5 million, and the 2.5 million. No, and please, bingo. I love it if you say bingo and it's wrong. So if you have to invest 10 times the amount into a security solution than the fee is, I wouldn't do it. because I have to take care of the budget. Why should I? The problem is, in Germany, then they implemented a law like you have to check for vulnerabilities. Okay. Germans are Germans. Okay. You have to check for vulnerabilities. Guess what we do? We check for vulnerabilities. Okay. Means we run the report, we print out the report. Germans always print. We print out the report, but we put it away. Because the PCI regulation said you have to scan for vulnerabilities. There was nothing like you have to fix the vulnerabilities. They don't have the time, they don't have the budget, they don't have the money. If they scan for a yes, you've done it, they scan. That's it. And they still do it. So, a vulnerability process, I know like 3 banks in Germany that have like a vulnerability process in place. If you would ask me if this is a professional way to do vulnerabilities, no. But they have a process in place. Could they be hit by Carbonac? Sure. They don't patch. Because they can't. They don't have the right amount of people, they don't have the budget, and they don't have the right solution in place. So, that's always the problem. Vulnerability management. You have to scan, you have to know. As a good example, if you have a house and you would like to protect it from people stealing stuff out of your house, you should know about the open doors. Because then you can decide you close it or you put a dog in front. If you can't close it. But at least you know where the holes are. And this is what most companies don't know, and they don't want to know, because if they know, they should do something, but they don't have budget and they don't have the people. So it's like we call it, it's opening the box of the Pandora. If you scan for the vulnerabilities, like, okay, what should I do first? The second is like, you should consider your vulnerabilities against the risk. This is more enterprise version. Not every vulnerability is very important, even if it's a big important vulnerability. If it's running on a not connected server without any network access, it's not that big. If it's on your Exchange server, it's a little bit bigger. So it's like risk analyzing of vulnerabilities is very important. But check for vulnerabilities. You don't need to use our solution. Use any solution. Scan for vulnerabilities. That's the first step. Patch management. Okay. You can't patch everything. You can't deploy every patch because you need to maintain your service. You need someone telling you this patch would be very important because it would increase your security level. It will fix these holes. You better deploy these patches first. That's very important. Patch management. If you know these are my open doors, this is the way to close it, you should, sooner or later, you should have a plan when to fix it. Least privilege access. I think that's a main topic in Germany actually. It's get rid of local administrators. Get rid of domain administrators. Just get rid of them. Too many rights. They are too dangerous. Local administrator is the first step to spread malware. Get rid of them. It's easy. We show you later on that it's really easy, but you can trust me, it's not that difficult. Even with Porsche, it's a customer of mine that is constructing cars. They always have these developers running around in the car. They are now users. They all like me because I took their admin privileges away and gave them the software that they can run. They can run every application. They don't need local admin rights. So, good thing. File integration. That's very important. If you would like to protect a folder where all your system files is protected, just forbid that any changes can be done. If there's any change, monitor it. That's an easy, for us it's an add-on to privilege management. Change control reporting. If there's any changes, you need to know about it. If it's a difficult change, you need to get an email. You need to know about the important things going on your IT. And you need to know it and you need to implement it within the amount of people and the budget, which is always, and that's I'm very sensitive about pricing. The best solution is worth nothing if you can't afford it. That's my idea about security. A security solution that you can't afford because you don't have the budget is worthless for us, because you will not implement it. And a security solution that you could buy and implement, but you need like 10 people to maintain it. You don't have 10 free people in the IT department. There needs to be the right balance of price and people and time to implement it. Password management and rotation. That's the second biggest topic in Germany. So we have like, in this area, the Gartner report says like we have a 26% increase. No. I didn't tell you what's next. Next is a cup. But it was like, I liked it. 26, sorry. So the increase of privilege management and password safe is the biggest in all security areas, because this is what actually, and the latest malware attacks just shown that you need it. And reporting. A solution is useless if you can't report about it. If you can't tell your boss what you have done nothing. It's for us the same. I work for Beyond Trust. I'm a sales guy. If I can't report my activities in Salesforce, I haven't done it. If I don't write a report about my trip to Ukraine and how many people were here and how the audience were reacting, there was no event. If I can't report, it doesn't happen. If you can't show your good work to your boss, there's no good work. So you need to have a report. You need to have a report. What's important, what steps, what would be the advice from our side, what you should do next. You need to have a report. So it's all about visibility. Visibility for you, for your boss, for your team, for whatever. It's always visibility. And alerting. I missed that, but alerting is, if you have a report, you should have like a mechanism, oh, something strange is going on, I better send an email, SMS, whatever, to inform the right people. You can only do this if you have the right reporting. Beyond Trust Solutions. You knew it, huh? Sooner or later, I have to switch over to our products. But it will be very, very brief. So Retina. Maybe you've heard about Retina. Retina is one of the first vulnerability scanners that were on the market. We have some strange history with Retina, because the founder of Retina was a very young hacker that hacked the FBI or like some US governmental institutions and was caught by the FBI. His name is Mark Mayframe. So they went to his house and said, okay, you have two options. You go to the prison or you work for us and show us how you've done it. And then he's decided, okay, maybe it's not the best choice to go to jail. Let's try to write a software. So this is the way how Retina software was created. He's still 1 feet is on the dark side because he can play back all the hacks and he's very excited. So it's very difficult to speak with him because he's like, yeah, this is how we do it, and he's hacking around. And but he's one of the best experts in the security area speaking about vulnerabilities. So Retina, finding vulnerabilities, patch management. If there are some products where I am proud of, patch management, there are professional solutions for patch management. What we are doing, we send the file to the SCCM and you can spread it around. We are not a patch management vendor. We are a vulnerability vendor. That's the difference. Patch management is only looking for missing patches, vulnerability looking for every vulnerability. Some of these vulnerabilities can be fixed by a patch, not all of them. So patch vendor, vulnerability vendor. We are a vulnerability vendor. There are patch management vendors like you mentioned on the market that offer a very good patch management solution. We are not a patch manager. We can deploy a patch. There are more enterprise versions to deploy a patch. But you need to know about the vulnerabilities first. Change control reporting. The reporting engine, if you ask me about the highlight, our reporting is by far the best part of our product. It's the best reporting engine that you can find in these areas on the market. I can give you some reasons why, but we come later on to the software in more detail. Reporting is key. You need to have a good report to filter your vulnerabilities, to concentrate on the most important 10 vulnerabilities to fix. And this is what we can give you. It's like, you have like 1,000 vulnerabilities, the 10 you should consider first are these. Because then you have the people and the time to fix it. You don't have the time to fix it. 1,000. Power Broker for Windows, that's all about privileges. Taking away user privileges. So our idea is the user has user privileges, and the applications that are running, they have the privileges to run. It's very easy. For example, the application on Windows that allows you to add a printer can have administrative rights, but the user is a user. It's easy. So you can add a printer, but you can't install a new software. And it's just a simple piece of software using Microsoft technologies, and it's running. It's running stable. We have customers with 100,000 installations, and it's just running. It's using standard Microsoft technologies. Vulnerability-based application management. Now it comes into a little bit more fancy technology. We can combine the privilege management with the vulnerability data. And we can create logical rules out of vulnerability data and enforce this with the privilege management. I'll give you an example. If you are connecting with your laptop to the most important server in your organization, we can say if your laptop is vulnerable, means you have an Internet Explorer 7, I don't know if it exists anymore, but 7. You have the weakest Firefox installed. You have Adobe something where every vulnerability can appear. Your antivirus is outdated. Whatever you want. So we create a rule like, if this happens, you're not allowed to connect to this server. You're not allowed. Patch your system first, clear it, whatever. Or you can create logical rules like, you're not allowed to connect to the financial server via VPN from a different network than your home network, or whatever. Not after business hours. You can create every logical rule and then enforce it with privilege management. So the privilege management tool is not only taking away privileges, it's also giving privileges, defining better rules, and enable you to work in the way you should work. That's very short about vulnerability. File integrity monitoring. Did you change the folder? Did you change a file? Report it or deny it? So you can say you're not allowed to change the word.exe for whatever reason. If you change it, send an alarm or just monitor it. So file integrity monitoring is more about you're not allowed to manipulate important files. So that's what malware typically does. It tries to manipulate. So just stop it. Just don't allow it. Password safe. Password safe would help you with the entire password story. So if you need access to an important server or to the firewall, you don't go to the server and enter the password. You go to our password safe. You say, I would love to have access to this machine. Then you can have rules like, can you do this direct or do you need an additional approval? Additional approval means, okay, I would like to access to the financial server. Okay, the boss needs to approve it. So it's like, you ask for access, he gets an email like, access is requested, do it. You can say automatically approved, but let's say there are at least you need 4 eyes. And then it's automatically connected. The session can be monitored. That means it's like a video stream. Everything is captured, what you do in that server. And as soon as you finish, you close the session, the password is not valid anymore. So no storage of passwords on your laptop. Password is rotating. You can't steal the password. You can steal the password, but it's not valid anymore. Approval process. This is a modern way to implement passwords within bigger organizations. This is the second biggest technology in this area that we run in Germany.
Bingo.
Second biggest?
Sorry.
Well, at least you're listening. I like it. Yeah, that's a... Okay, password management, rotation, blah, blah, blah. I have an extra presentation for that. And reporting. Everything that you have here runs into one database. We have one report out of it. That means you can log onto one console. You can see what's going on with all the products. You can combine actions out of these products. You can give a lot of people access to the same console. They just see what they should see. And you can access all events out of one console, which is very, very important. So you don't have 10 different products in 10 different consoles, where you need 10 different people. You're waiting for the right numbers, huh? It's still 10. You have one console. Typically, if I compare it with ZF, ZF has 50,000. ZF, you know the company? Who's driving a BMW? Ever drove a BMW? Mercedes? Audi? The gear is made by ZF. So that's the people, steering wheels, and the technology and all the gears. That's done by ZF. They have like 50,000 desktops running PowerBroker Windows. One administrator for like 2 hours per week, maintaining 50,000 desktops with PowerBroker Windows. That's not a huge workload. That's kind of easy. They all run with one console. So even if the boss is logging on, he uses the same console. He logs on with his username and he sees the report. Or you can send it by email. I talk about this. I think you should remember this slide, because I'm going to tell you this slide, I think at least 12 times minimum. You have won once, huh?
Yeah.
That's the last time you can win.
Okay. I don't wait for the next question.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe you can come closer. Okay, I will show you this. Next one is a cup. This slide, at least, a lot of times. Because this shows our software platform. It shows everything that we offer. Okay. Questions and answers. So if you give me the answer, I will tell you the question. If you don't have answers, we will run around, have some coffee. You can speak to us one-to-one. I will tell you what I think would be the next approach if you ask for more information. We will tell you how we could do this in a very good way, because we don't have the time to go very deep into every product. I told it to the interpreters. Typically, for all the products that we offer in deep, 4 days, can't do it in 15 minutes each. But I give you an overview. If you think you have some pain points then where we can help you, you contact us and we will have a one-to-one session that's much better than spreading all your problems in front of the audience. So that.
One question.
Yes?
About dynamic privileges, can you tell?
What do you mean with dynamic?
Dynamic in time or
Dynamic privileges means you need access to something and you need the privileges. What do you mean with dynamic privileges?
User can.
You can say it in I will do fancy technology. You can say it in your language and.
Да, будьте добры, такой вопрос. Если пользователь временно имеет доступ с удаленной рабочей станции, например, или же...
Первый канал. Какой канал мы выбрали? Какой канал?
не работает.
Приводит them.
Пожалуйста, повторите вопрос.
Вопрос такой. Если, например, пользователь имеет доступ из разных рабочих станций, то есть у него на разных рабочих станциях, в зависимости от его положения, там, географического или еще каких-то параметров, он имеет разный уровень доступа. Вот, про менеджмент этого доступа.
То есть с одной рабочей станции под одними привилегиями.
Да, да. То есть тут один пользователь, а рабочих станций, например, много. Или процессов разных много. То есть не обязательно рабочих станций.
Was?
Ja,
Okay. So you can define the privileges based on the PC where it's logged on, and so the combination of PC and username, and also per application. So if you log on to this PC, you have these privileges, and you log on to this PC, you have totally different privileges. You can fix. You can have the dynamic privilege management that you would like to. We can combine it, PC, user, and applications in any combination. And if you, the typical problem that I always see when we speak about privileges, if you enable a privilege management or whitelisting or whatever, the first thing that happens, because you're not lucky, you work in the ITs, we are not really lucky sometimes. You put your new software on a laptop of your CEO or CIO, the first thing that will happen, he's traveling around doing something and it didn't work. So he can't access to the network. That's kind of the nightmare that will happen, because they will call you immediately like, what have you done? I need access, I need to work. So if you're targeting board member laptops and they would like to do something, and our software would not give them the privileges, they have like make it happen button. The make it happen button is, if it doesn't work, you press the button just for board members and it will work. It will either work automatically or they call you, you give them the number, they enter the number, and then it works. This is very important, because if you would like to deploy a product within a bigger organization, it's not always running as designed. They're traveling around, they do strange things. If they need something, you need to help them. So it's like the make it happen button. So dynamic, yes, and also you have they can call it challenge response system. Any more questions?
One more question.
Yes, please.
It was a rather scary story about Kabanak virus for me when Kaspersky said that ATMs itself gave money, and it was said that the losses were about $1 billion. Is this sum confirmed? I mean, there were really companies who confirmed their losses in this sum.
Yeah. So the question is, can we confirm that it was a $1 billion loss?
Yes.
I don't think that we have a proof, but I think they're very accurate today to estimate losses, because Kaspersky especially is in contact with some bigger organizations, big banks, that ask them, and you can see what the result of the Kabanak attack within a bank. You can find out your loss. Most banks didn't tell it, because it's not that good that a bank, we don't want to talk about it. So I think it's a good guess It's not a proof number. You can't prove it because some customers will just don't tell you the truth. I personally think 2 years, 1,500 banks, I think 1 billion is not enough. What I think. Because you can divide it by the number of banks and the number of days. I think it should be bigger, but even if it's just 500 million, it's a lot of money. It would be okay for me to have a part of it. And by the way, did I tell you that I come out of Munich? I live in Munich. That's why I have some meetings with BMW all the time, and they try to steal my time, and they're very demanding. German automobile producers are nightmare customers. They ask for everything. But Munich, coming back to Munich, the last time when I was here was kind of a show where I had a presentation, was an EMA conference, and Bayern Munich played against Barcelona. Am I allowed to make some jokes on football? That's okay. Because the last time I made jokes on Spanish football, and then there came 2 ladies and said, hello, we represent PMB from Barcelona, and I said, so I asked before, if I make any jokes and you don't like them, sorry, but we are kind of happy that we make the next match. I think we have the break, and if you have more questions to me, to Mark, Michael, kannst du mal kurz die Hand hochheben? So, and the 2 people in the back are representatives of Beyond Trust. We have a technician and we have a sales representative. If you have any questions and you're not allowed, I'm talking, just ask them. Okay? So see you. See you.
20 minutes.
See you in 20 minutes. 15 minutes. I'm gonna manage the time anyway. So that's I'm German, but I'm not that German. So that's a brief agenda. It's like a guideline, a nice to have for me. Okay? So, break. Thanks.